that a DBA is in charge of in the corporate world. So we're going to talk about some of the departments in the IT field, right? You need to understand some of the departments and you understand your responsibilities. It's very important that you know what you are supposed to do. And then, hold on here, put this down. Have it at full screen. A moment. This Zoom keeps changing like every single day. All right. So we'll talk about the database administrative daily tasks, what you do on a daily basis, and look at some of the best practices installing SQL Server. You see, we're gradually moving towards that installation, what you're supposed to do, and we will see how far we go. All right. Now,
sorry, am I on?
Yes, you are on.
Yeah, but my laptop is not coming on. It's blank, but I have it on my second screen. I don't know why. But if I remove the cable and then I connect back, it comes on my laptop.
Then remove the cable and connect back.
I've done it a couple of times. It's still doing the same thing.
So maybe help me understand when you connect your monitor to your laptop, the monitor doesn't come on?
If I connect the monitor to the laptop, the laptop does not come on. But the speaker is on, but I wouldn't see the picture.
You will not see the pictures on your laptop or on the monitor?
On the laptop.
What do you see on the monitor?
I'm seeing you. I'm seeing the class on the monitor.
Can you take your mouse and move it to your laptop? Can you see your mouse on your laptop?
Yeah, I can see. It's blank. It's really black.
You can't see it at all. If you move your mouse towards your laptop, you don't see anything?
Yes. I don't see anything.
Can you put it on?
Yeah, it's on. The laptop is on. If I remove the cable from the if I remove the HDMI cable from the laptop, the monitor goes off, and then I can see everything on the laptop.
Okay, just so I can make some progress, remove it. I have it on the monitor right now. We're not doing any practical work for now.
Okay.
Break. I'll take a look into it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So, all right. So these are the departments that you will have most of the time in the IT department. Right? So Chief Information Officer, the CIO, right? That's most of the time he's the one that leads the IT department. So under that, it's very important that you understand this program, because this is how when you join the company, you need to know who you report to and who are those that are on the same level with you. So you have the CIO that oversees the entire IT department, and under him or her, these are the people that report to. So you have the IT director, you have the IT manager, so the IT director, the IT manager, and so on, right? And under them, you start having different responsibilities, different roles. For example, here you have a project manager, a system analyst, and IT operations support. Maybe most of the time, the support desk, help desk that comes into play. Here you also have, most of the time, the database sits under the IT manager. The person you report directly to. So under this role, most of the time you will work hand in hand with people from the department. You might have projects that you need to deal with system analysts. You might be having the daily communication with support desk, the IT support, deal hand in hand with them. You have system engineers, that you may have to deal with them. So the reason why you should understand who are the people you can contact directly when you join a company is you're never going to work alone. So when there is a problem, you should understand who to call and who to contact. And I've had this so many times in an interview. How will you deal with a situation where you are being called at the middle of the night to do something that you don't really have permissions to do, or you have no clue on what to do? Because you've understood the people that you're working hand in hand with, you will know exactly who to contact. Is this something that has to do with the system? Is the system down? I need to make sure that I open what is called a breach line. Every single time there's an issue and people have to come online, we open a breach, just like from the word breach, a breach line. It's just like a Zoom. Remember when I send you Zoom, there's always the telephone number where you can dial in, a conference kind of line that you can dial in, and we jointly resolve the problem. So it's important that you understand that. And some companies will give you direct phone numbers, or they give you what is called on-call personnel per department, right? So that's one thing that you also need to know, is that in this field, you are most likely going to work on call, right? So that's why DBAs don't really have a fixed schedule. Nobody checks when you go to work, nobody checks when you leave, and nobody checks how many hours you work, because they understand that sometimes you need to work very ungodly hours, right? Sometimes you have most of the things that you need to do in this world, in this corporate world, that has to do with the production, changing things in production will be done off business hours. And they understand that. And that's why it's very, very unfair if someone tries to micromanage you to check exactly when you come to work, what you are doing, and so on. So because we understand that you work very ungodly hours, right? So that's, move this away. That's how it is. Okay. Now, well, as a DBA, you need to understand your roles and your responsibilities. What are some of the things that is expected of you? Because when you apply for a job in this field, like I said, when you get into a job, the job responsibilities are going to be spelled out clearly, what you're supposed to do. You're going to, and we need to go throughout those job responsibilities and understand what is required of you. For example, administrative DBA, you have all these different types of tasks. And you need to know which job title you're applying for. In this class, we're going to do almost 90 to 95% of these tasks, but it doesn't mean that you are eventually going to do everything in the field. And because I don't know where you're going to get a job, I can't just leave out some of the things for you. You have to do everything. So database administrator works on maintaining the servers and keeping it running. That's your first primary goal or primary responsibility. The job is to make sure that the server is maintained and you keep it running all the time. So if there's an issue, you should be able to proactively monitor that and make sure it's running. You need to handle tasks like backups, right? That's where your main goal. You need to back up databases, make sure that there's a good backup in place. And most of the time, no one will tell you this, right? You are hired and they just expect that you know what you need to do. So nobody, sometimes, except it's really a junior role, nobody will walk up to you and say, hey, you need to schedule a backup task to make sure that the database are backed up. Nobody will do that. But they will expect that you know that. That's what you're supposed to do. Security, you have to in charge of security. So in this case, your role is, I need to know who has access to the server, right? I need to know who can get access to the server. What type of permissions do I need to grant the individual? Do I need to encrypt some of the data? So if there's an event of an attack or hack, the data should not be available for you to restore because it's encrypted. Patches. We're going to talk a lot about patches as time goes on. This is, most of you have patches of your computer. Have you ever shut down your computer and the moment you click shut down, you see that icon that pops on and say update and restart, or update and shut down, right? Those updates. those are patches. We call them patches. They are released, and this is an interview question. When do Microsoft release their patches? Patches are normally released every second Tuesday of the month. Every second Tuesday of the month, Microsoft releases the patches. So that's when they will appear on your computer to update. And because every single Microsoft computer is linked to their entire system, to their domain, somehow they have a way to send the updates directly to you. Even if your computer is not connected to the internet. You know that, right? Even if it's not connected to the internet, you still have the updates sent to you. So you have replication. I talked about replication last time. Things that concern the actual server software, that's your responsibility as administrative DBA. Well, some jobs will require that you know a little bit about development, right? As development DBA. We do handle some of them in this class to make sure you understand some development work, how to develop some codes. It's not your main, that's not the main goal for this training, but we do handle some of that. But what does that mean? Well, sometimes you might be in charge in building some queries. For example, you have a report that you need to run on the server and pull data from the server. How do I pull the data from the server? I need to write some queries that will be able to pull the data from the server for me. A query is just simply a small code, very small code that you can write, and whenever you need information from the server, you pull. For example, when you get pulled over by this on the street and the police takes your driver license and then they go to their vehicle, what do you think they're doing there? Well, they're writing a code, and the code is pulling data from the database to see if your driver license is valid or not, or see if you actually have the right to drive or not. And we're going to look at very basic things like that. How do you read information from the table? And there is no reason for you to save data if you cannot read it. So a DBA should be able to save the data and should also be able to read it. Well, we have things that call store procedures. We'll handle store procedures later. These are ways you can summarize codes into very simple sentences. And when you run it, it pulls information from the server for you. You're in charge of just things that make business, that makes business work, right? How do I make business function properly? You work for a collection agency, and their goal is make those calls. But at the end of the day, they want to make sure that the server is up and running. They're able to dial those clients and talk to them and be able to put notes into the system. So you are in charge of the overall process and the back end. DBAs are hardly seen, but you play the most important role in every organization. But you are in the background. Nobody sees you most of the time. But they will know that you exist when something goes wrong, you know? So, so you do that. So this, as a development DBA, you mostly do a little bit of things close to the programmer because you do a lot of programming. And the language that we use is T-SQL. This stands for Transact SQL. Transact Structure Query Language. That's what SQL stands for, right? So that's a language. So whenever they ask you, do you know any programming language? Going forward in this class, your answer should never be no, because you know it, right? Your programming language that you know is T-SQL. That's the language you know. Transact Structure Query Language. IT has a lot of languages. Me, personally, sitting here, I don't like programming. I don't like coding, you know, but at least I do the one. I'm only doing the one that's necessary for my job. The one that I don't need it, if I like to learn because I like programming, I will do it. But because I don't like it, I don't learn it. Well, you will need to figure out yourself. Your story should not be my own story, you know. So do things the way it works best for you. All right, so you have also a database architect, and this is also going to be a job. This class trains you to do this, a little bit of this, and a lot of this also. Database architect. And like Shuri asked at the beginning of the class, what's the reason partitioning a drive? Well, because you need to follow best practices, designing. You're going to become, somehow in this training, you will be qualified enough to apply for a database architect. You should be a database architect. You should be able to design a database from scratch, right? Design it from scratch and build it up from there. And this is what we do here. We design schemas. We're going to talk about what schemas are, tables, foreign keys, primary keys, all those things that needs designing of database. You want to work in the structure that meets business needs and in general. So you come into a business and someone tells you, hey, I'm developing this business and this business is supposed to have a form that people can register online. And when they want to send money to any part of the world, they can click here. So all those things you need to work with a client to come out with a good business, how you develop it, right? So that falls under a database architect, you know. And when so you work on implementing that. And this you work hand in hand with developers to actually come out with it. And the last one is just database warehousing. We really don't handle this a lot in this class, right? It's really deals with how to save data, archive data. Like when the IRS is done with the taxes at the end of the year, they're not just going to keep that database active all the time. They're going to send the IRS records for the last 20 years. You don't need to have them saved. You need to archive them, you know, archive. And we start talking about data warehouse. Nowadays, with the explosion of data, people no longer talk about data warehouse because the house is too small. You've heard about things like data lakes, right? It's now in the lake because data is so big that it needs to fit on the lake. So that's the terminology that you hear. Whenever you hear of a data warehouse, from the word warehouse, where do we store data that we don't use on daily basis? We put it in a warehouse. So data warehouse. So, but this class really doesn't train you a lot on that. But that's something that once you get exposed and you want to go into this, you can learn it. Okay, now, what do I do on a day-to-day basis, right? What are some of the things that I do on a day-to-day basis? Like, on my side, and everyone that's in the database field will tell you that some of the things that you do on a day-to-day basis is installation of SQL Server. And this is going to be our first project on Thursday. You are going to install SQL Server. How do I install SQL Server? All right, so what to pay attention to when installing SQL Server. And when you install, you need to configure. So configuration, SQL Server configuration, and upgrading SQL Server, right? When you say upgrade, right now, you're privileged enough to be working with the latest version of SQL Server in the market. But you're going to have a project in this class that will push you to install older version of SQL Server and then move back up. If you started this class with the SQL Server 2014 and you have to move up to 2019, that is called upgrade. You're upgrading. So we do this on day-to-day basis. Company calls you and say, we are bringing up new server, we want you to install SQL Server on it. Or we are bringing a new application in the market and we want to install new hardware or new copy of the server. That falls under your responsibility, right? That's okay. So implementing and maintaining database security, I talked about this, and some of the things that you need to talk about is you create users, you grant user access, you give them permissions. You do transparent data encryption, that's what it stands for, TDE. Data masking, and always encrypted. These are technologies that you implement, and we're going to study every single one of them. But you do this on a daily basis as a DBA. Well, one of them, another important one is disaster recovery. Word, disaster recovery. There are some tools here that a DBA must. It's not like you must have it on your tool set. You cannot go out there to apply for a job if you don't know these things, right? One thing is disaster recovery, right? Establish and maintain sound backup policy that will help you recover your database when there is a disaster. That's what we call disaster recovery. How do I recover the database when there is a disaster? And there are technologies to take care of that. We're going to look at that, but that's something that you do on a day-to-day basis. Well, ensuring high availability, we have technologies like always on group, availability group, clustering, and so on. These are things that you do to ensure high availability of your data. All right. Okay, database tuning and performance monitoring. That's also things that you do. I talked about it last time. In general, your job is to take care of your babies. Right? The servers are going to be your babies. Whether you like it or not, you're going to spend more time with the server than you spend with your real kids. So you're going to treat them well. Because even when you are home, you're going to still handle them. Right? So take care of them, because when you mishandle them, they will make your life very miserable. But when you treat them well, they will also make your life good. So this is also very important. It's just like a lady, when you treat your wife well, she will give you the best life, but when you mishandle her, she'll give you the worst.
The worst.
So treat servers, men in this class, please have to treat servers just like you treat your ladies, because they will make your life very good when you handle them well. Very, very important. Okay, what do you do on the, so these are your overall tasks, but on a day-to-day task, when you go in the morning and you not clocking, but when you step into the office at 9 o'clock and by 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock when you are stepping out, what are some of the things that you'll be doing, right? And in the field, for the last years I'll be a DBA, I can count very few days that I really went to the office and I worked straight 8 hours, right? It's no kidding about it. But you are expected to be on call. And for big organization, you have the on-call rotation. This week it's your turn, the next week is your turn, which means they can call you at any ungodly hours if something is going wrong for you to fix. So, but when you get in, what do? You attend meetings, right? Some of your time at work as a DBA, you spend time talking to people and attending meetings, drinking coffee, right? You get in the morning, attend meeting. First thing I do is, let me just keep this slide out and tell you what I do in the morning when I get to the office. First thing, I have my routine. And some people believe in routine, some don't, but I have my routine that if you look at, I always do that. I get in the morning, most of the time I get there at 9:30, right? So 9:30, I'm in the office. If there's traffic, maybe I get there at 10, but most of the time between 9 and 9:30. All right, first thing, I put on my computer is always on, so you don't switch off your computer. So I go get my coffee. And when I'm passing to the coffee table, I have my colleague that I say hi, and we will chat there for a couple of minutes, 3, 4, 5 minutes. And maybe we'll walk to the coffee room and we'll get some coffee and we'll chat again. Small talks. It's important though. It's part of your work. Don't be that kind of stiff student who comes to work and don't talk to anybody. Immediately you get in, you bury yourself in the computer until you leave. No, people don't appreciate that. And I'm telling you, in most work, IT work, what makes you keep the job is not how smart you are. It's also your interaction with people. So, we get coffee, hi, we talk about coronavirus, things going around and then 10 minutes is over. I get my coffee, I go back to my desk, and then for the next 1 hour, I'm going to read my emails, right? You have to read your emails and respond to them. Don't claim that I did not see this email. A boss sent you an email 1 week ago and you're responding to it one week after, copying everybody. They see that and they're going to question your manager. Hey, why is this new DBA guy always responding to your emails like 1 week after? Because when your boss sends you an email and copies everybody, you are supposed to reply that email, copying everybody. And then they can see so that tells me how often you follow up on emails. And that will give the company an idea that if the company is really on fire, are you going to take 1 week to respond? So I do that, check my emails, make sure I respond to that, my emails, and 1 hour, 30 minutes is over. Then I'm going to review tickets. Everything in this field goes with tickets. There's a ticketing system. If someone needs something done, that person cannot just walk up to your desk and say, hey, Dennis, please, can you please create a table for me? No, it doesn't work like that. You cannot just walk up to my desk, because when you're coming to my desk, that person might be doing something important, right? So companies implement ticketing system. If you need something, go and submit a ticket, which means you're going to go to the system, type in there, I need you to create a database for me, submit. And everybody can see that a ticket has been submitted. And if someone is working on a server, if the server needs to be restarted, you'll be notified. So we need to do that. And also chatting, right? You need to, I learned how to type when I became a DBA. Throughout my education, I would never know how to type. But because, guys, you'll be sitting in an office and your next colleague is just in front of you, and you cannot just ask questions. You ask a question, you have to chat. Hey, hi, Barbara, and she's sitting right there in front of you. You know, because it's not like you should not talk. It's that sometimes you just have to give that courtesy. You don't know what that person is doing, and you don't want to disturb. If I say hi and you don't respond, and I'm sitting there, I know you're busy. When you get some time, you respond. But if I walk up to your desk, I don't know what you're doing. I might distract you. And the time you get up, walk all the way to the desk, and then walk back, that's 1 minute, gone. You would have used that 1 minute to do something with. My manager, to me, it was a culture shock, right? My manager is sitting in front of me, like, why can't I just talk to this man? Why does he want me? When I go to his day, say, come and send me a message. I'm like, you sitting here, I can just ask. Why should I have to send you a message? But I got to understand that you need to do that, right? So you chat, most companies chat using Skype, but there's a lot of chatting systems that companies use. Nowadays you have Teams, right? Who among you has used Teams here? Teams, Microsoft Teams, anybody? Okay, if I ask Skype, probably everybody has used Skype here.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, all right. Okay, so Skype is what you use for chatting. Teams, you have WebEx, you have Slacks, you have GoToMeetings, you have, there's so many chatting systems that companies implement. You have also one that is very famous right now is Jabra, right? So all those kinds of things, you go with what the company actually have in place. So you do that. So I do that, answer to users' requests. So if I see a ticket, let's say Abiodun has sent me a ticket, hey, I want you to create a table for me, and I don't understand what it means. Well, I'm not just going to take my phone and call him directly. I just take a chat, hey, what do you mean by this? Can you throw more light on what you really want me to do? And then now you start the chat, you know, and so on. So Teams, I think I have Teams in here, if I'm not mistaken. I was planning to Teams, let's see. Yeah, Microsoft Teams, right? So very good. Teams is really nice because I'm so happy that Microsoft came up with Teams because I didn't like Skype. Because in Skype, whenever you chat, if the chat disappears, if you close the meeting, the chat disappears. But with Teams, it keeps the history. So you can always go back and refer to what you're doing. And I could open my work laptop here and show you guys when I'm done with this during break, so you guys can really see them. All right. So these are some of the things that you use. And then now, after all this, it's already 12 o'clock, right? Then, because I came in at 9:30, I spent an hour, 30-minute reply messages, or 11. I spent a couple of minutes talking to my colleagues. And then every 1 hour, please, you have to get up, walk around. Companies enforce that. Most companies. Don't sit down for hours because your back is going to hurt you. So get up, walk 5 minutes, come back and sit. And drink water. Make sure when you're drinking your water, don't bring that big cup that will make you sit down there. Bring the smaller cup that when it's finished, you're forced to wake up and go to get water. And you see this, the kitchen is never very close to where people are sitting. And it's intentional, right? They don't put the kitchen very close because they want people to get up, walk all the way to the kitchen. And when you're going all the way to the kitchen, you're going to pass by your colleagues, and then someone is going to talk to you. You're going to stand there. So companies literally want you to come to work and talk to people. Because most IT people, they are so focused, they just come in, sit there and do their job and leave. Lots of companies don't like that, you know. So things that you're going to realize is the kitchen is always far away, and the printer where you print is never close by. They always put the printer very far, so you have to walk, because they want to also encourage that walking to pick up and come back. And by the time you're done, it's break, and then I'm come back from break. I will now follow up with my duties. What do I really have to do? There are days like Saturday, Fridays, that we call them read-only Fridays. Right? You come to work. Most companies implement read-only Friday. You don't have to break things, because managers don't want to fix things when they're spending their weekend with their family. They want you to read. When you come to work on Friday, read until the end of the day. So read only. So most companies really implement that, but no, I'm not saying all companies are like that. So that's some of the ways that you will spend your time in this field. But it's very exciting. I must tell you, this is a very, very exciting field that you're getting into. Okay. All right. So next we're going to talk about SQL Server overview. Did I talk about this last time? Bob, did I talk about this SQL Server overview?
Yes, doctor, you did.
With these students?
Maybe, yeah, it looks like this is what Brian used or something.
Yeah.
No, yes, right.
Okay, let me ask you guys, did we talk about SQL Server overview in this class?
No.
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 Yes.
No.
That's the problem when you have two para classes going on.
Yeah. Looks like.
So, all right, so I'm going to bring up a couple of slides. I'm going to talk about SQL Server overview and the things that you have to do in this field. All right, so let me pull this up here. Moment. Shit. Come on. It's my, for some reason today, I don't know what happened with this, my Zoom.
Hi, Doc.
Hi.
Yeah, when we're doing breakout. Where's this coming from? This is not from me.
Okay.
It's someone, Abuchi, Eze, Chu, something. Anyway,
Yeah,
it's written.
that's not from me. I needed to ask. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we're getting you. We can hear.
Okay, maybe during break, I'll take this. Some of the acronyms I was saying, the FKs, PKs, DTs, maybe I'll have to take note of them, the acronyms.
Okay, means you're probably right ahead if you're talking about FK, PK, foreign key, primary key, something of that sort.
Yeah, maybe
Okay.
during break, we'll talk about it.
All right. I
know
mean, you've gone far.
Okay.
Guys, please give me a 1 minute, okay? All right, please.
You know you're still sharing your screen, right?
What?
Abuchi, I keep muting you because the noise is coming from you. And apparently when I mute you, you decide to unmute. So it's because you're noisy, that's why we keep muting you. Or are you trying to say something? If it's not coming, I mean, you can communicate using the chat as well if you're having a challenge.
The system is unmuting itself.
I'm the one muting you.
It's on meeting itself. I'm not the one.
Okay. All right, I'll take care of that.
Sorry about that, guys. I had to quickly pick this up. Okay. So, Abuchi, you can realize that your line is so noisy. I don't know what's going on. You need to really call me on the phone. Let's figure out what's going on with you, okay? Because for the last classes, it's been like that. So I really need you to call me. If you can hear me, call me. Let's figure out what is going on. So we get this right. All right. All right. Okay. So we're going to go ahead right now and talk about SQL Server overview, the origin of SQL Server, where it started from, and some of the things that you need to know in this field before we move on to installation. So that's what we're going to talk about. So the first thing will be overview. We're going to talk about different editions and versions of SQL Server. And we end up this by talking about some of the hardware requirement. And during SQL Server installation, we'll talk about all this. And then when we're done installing, what are some of the post-installation changes that we have to implement when you install SQL Server? So that's the way this is structured. All right. So here, to notes. So yes, SQL Server overview. Here, SQL Server overview. Okay. Okay. All right. Now, SQL Server overview. Where did it begin from? Where's the history of this? You know, SQL Server started off as a program called Sybase. Have you guys seen this slide? I want to make sure I'm not repeating myself. You guys have not seen this slide, right?
Doctor, you are repeating yourself, please. We are
class. I'm not talking about the older class.
No, this one, the SQL.
No, we have not.
No, we have not
Let
seen
me
it.
oh, wow. Actually. Let me make sure I get this off.
I won't send this.
Okay. Yeah, what did you say? I was not hearing you because the line was muted. Abiodun, what did you say?
I said that things have been teaching before.
Okay, but not in this class. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So SQL Server started off as Sybase, right? A Sybase by a bunch of guys that were working with Sybase. They decided to create SQL Server. And when the first SQL Server was released, it was called SQL Server 6.5. That was in 1996. So you see, you are learning something that's very, very new in the market. Right? 1996 is not far, especially in a career like this. That's very, very new. And a couple of years after that, they released version 7. These are very old systems. Most of you in this field will never get to this. I only get to work with SQL Server 7 when I was dealing with a lot of old stuff. Even SQL Server 2000, which was released in the year 2000, it's still very old. Most of you will not even see it. I guess some of you will start seeing this SQL Server 2008 and above. So you see that every single user. Can I deal with this? Abuchi.
It's on meeting itself, sir.
Yes, so let me, guys, just give me a moment. Let me really call him on his phone. It happens like last class,
I guess he's the one responding.
No. Hold on, let me call him. I want to tell him to stop unmuting himself, just so we have the class. Hey, Charles, yes, you have to stop unmuting yourself. Yes, there's a lot of noise.
I don't know what's happening.
Okay, now suddenly now.
It's like you say?
But suddenly there's no noise. Unmute yourself again. Say something.
Look at it.
Okay, so that's good. I don't know what was happening, but there was a lot of sharp noise coming from your background.
It's on meeting itself. Maybe I will leave the.
No, you don't have to leave. No, you don't have to leave the class. It's good right now. Just keep it like that. All right, just find yourself in a quiet environment. All right, thanks. Yeah, you don't have to leave. All right, thanks. All right, some of these things we need to clarify them. People are not so used to this technology, so okay. So, so we have SQL Server 2012, 14, 16, 17, and 19. That's the latest one that just came out. Right? What you see here are the build numbers. So these build numbers, every single time SQL Server is released, we have what is called a build number. And this is very important because it helps you to understand what version of SQL Server you're working on. For instance, if I just connect to SQL Server like this, let me pull up a SQL Server that I'm connected to. Without even running any code, I can immediately tell that this is SQL Server 2017 because the build number starts with 14, right? Well, there are ways you can write a code. If I do something like this, select, these are the simple code I'm talking about. Add version, select, not K, select add version, and run, execute the code. It can tell me again down here, right? See, SQL Server 2017. But even without going through this long route, just by looking here, I can tell that this is SQL Server 2017 that I'm working on. So it goes with this build number. Now pay attention to this because a lot of students get confused between a version of SQL Server and an edition of SQL Server. For every single one of these versions, let's say SQL Server version 2017, you have all those editions available. Every version comes with all the editions. So the various editions of SQL Server that you find out there are the Enterprise Edition, the Standard Edition, the Business Intelligence Edition, the Developer, and the Express Editions. Right? These are the various editions that you have out there. The most expensive one that you know out there is the Standard Enterprise Edition. Enterprise Edition. All right, so that's the most expensive one that you find out there, and followed by the Standard Edition. Most companies will only go with Standard Edition, and then the Enterprise Edition. What you have in Enterprise Edition is that it has all the features that Microsoft offers. It's not restricted in anything. It has all the editions, and then you can check here on Microsoft website, and you see the different editions of SQL Server and the version and the pricing involved. This is the most expensive, is the Enterprise Edition, core base. Every single license of these is $14,000. That's why I always tell you in this class that this is what you guys will be installing. Just the license in this class is already doubles, triples, whatever amount you can ever pay for this, you know. But we have some kind of ways that we help students out on this by buying in bulk and reducing the price for the student, you know. So this is the most one. Most companies you find out that will not even have this Enterprise Edition, but it's the most advanced edition that you have, followed by the Standard Edition, which costs roughly $3,700 per license. Right? You have this is core base. Now, core base and client access level is just you buy this license based on the cores that you have on your machine. But this one is based on users. So companies will decide what licenses method they're going to use for that. And then you have a Developer Edition, which is free. This Developer Edition has features close to standard and Enterprise Edition, but it's free, and no company will ever use this for their development work. So that's where we try to, as much as possible, to implement the same thing that you have in the corporate world by making sure that you have the Enterprise Edition for installed on your laptop. And you have also the last one, which is Express Edition. It's good for entry-level database that are deal for learning purposes, maybe for very simple data applications and so on. So these are the different editions of SQL Server that you have out there and their prices, you know. Okay, now I talked about the reason why you need to do an installation is because of maybe you change your software, or maybe you're upgrading from an older version of SQL Server, then you need to do that. So these are some of the reasons why you might be asked to do an installation or an upgrade of SQL Server. So now, requirements. When you are doing a requirement, remember in this class, I keep emphasizing on the laptop specification for SQL Server installation. Well, for you to install SQL Server, you should meet this requirement. The processor type should be at least a Pentium 4 or Athlon, AMD Athlon and above. Most of their computers already meet this. These are very, very small specifications for all computers, but most computers already meet this. Now, the reason why we really stress the 16 gig RAM is not just because of SQL Server installation, it's because of the programs that we're going to install later on, which are the virtualization. That's why we stress to have that large memory. Now, but you can see here, SQL Server requires just 4 gigs and above, and you're fine. But that's not enough for this. And the space that you require for the database engine, data files, replication will be roughly if you add all this, roughly 2 gigabytes. But I'm still insisting that you have 500 gigabytes because of other things that we're going to do. So these are some of the requirements that we have to check. So why am I bringing this up? Is because when you are charged to install SQL Server on the machine, you should be able to look at the system specification and see if that particular server meets the requirement. The requirements for installing SQL Server on that machine. And I know yours already made it, but you have to check that. You need to check that, to make sure it meets it. Now, bringing your attention here now on what is the difference between a SQL Server and a Windows Server? Is there anyone here who can tell me the difference? What's the difference between a SQL Server and a Windows Server? Anyone wants to try?
The Windows Server is the operating system, and basically the SQL you install in the operating system.
Very correct. Very correct. Right? Windows Server, that's the operating system. Right now, all of you already have the Windows Server on your computer. That's why you're even able to log onto this class and see me. You have the operating system already installed. The Windows Server is already installed on your computer. But now you need to install SQL Server, which is then not a database management server that sits on that Windows operating system that you have on your computer. Right? So why am I bringing this one up? It is because as best practice, you keep hearing me talking about best practice in this class. Most people out there don't know what is best practice. They just do things because they need to do it. You should not be part of that. I want you to leave this class with a difference. You should do things following best practices. And what are those? You can see here that for every Windows server, just like SQL Server has versions and editions, Windows servers also have versions and editions. Right? And I'm not going to go all the way down, but I'm going to show you the few editions of Windows servers that exist. We have Windows Server 2008, 2008 R2, right? This is called R2, which stands for release number 2. You have SQL Server 2012, 2012 R2. You have Windows Server 2016, and the most recent one that just came out is SQL Server 2019. Right? So you can see that I am relating a Windows Server with SQL Server version, right? Why is it that? As a best practice, try as much as possible to install the SQL Server versions on the same version of Windows Server. So if you're having a SQL Server 2008, try to install it on a server that has an operating system 2008, Windows Server 2008. Am I saying that you cannot install a SQL Server 2016 on an operating system 2008? No, you can do it, but you will face a lot of performance issues. In this class, I keep talking about performance. Performance just simply means how do you make things work faster? Every now and then, when you go online on an application and click sign in, you don't want to sit there for 10 minutes waiting for the app to spin and spin and spin to let you in. That is performance issues. You want to make sure that when you click submit, it signs you in immediately. When you click, it should respond. Response time is performance. So if you do that, when you don't follow these best practices, your payback, right, will be performance. You will suffer from performance issues. So you can see here, we try to relate them as close as possible. So the best practice is that you should try to keep them the same year or be as close as possible. For example, I can install a SQL Server 2016 on a Windows Server 2012. That's fine. But if I have to go down to 2008, it's going to be an issue already. So I try to keep them together. So for Windows servers, you have, as far as editions are concerned, you have what is called the standard edition, which is also the most expensive edition. You have, sorry, the enterprise. You have the standard, which is less expensive, and the data center editions. These are the editions that you have with Windows operating system. All right, SQL Server has these ones. Windows Server also have very similar kinds of editions. So it's important that you know these different ones. Now, let me bring these slides here for you to know. This slides here is just telling you how many companies out there are using which versions of SQL Server. All right, this is a survey that was done this year actually, by one of the best top guys in this field called Brent Oza. He actually sampled about 1,600 companies, and they gave the feedback. You can see here, barely 6 people responding that they are using SQL Server 2008. Right? About 10 companies say they're using 2008 R2. And you can see here the majority of companies out there are using SQL Server 2016 and 17. Very few are using 2019. Companies don't always want to rush like that when a new version or new edition, so new version gets released. They don't just want to rush into installing that because it still has a lot of issues and they have to wait for Microsoft to provide feedback before they can do it. So you can see here, that's why I said majority of you in this class will end up only using this. Right? You see few companies are moving up. Why are they moving up from 2008? And no company even responding using anything lower than 2008 from the studies. But why are they doing that? It's because whenever Microsoft releases a product, there's what is called support. What do I mean by support? If you have a problem, you can call Microsoft and Microsoft will solve it for you. So, and that support is valid for 10 years only. So after 10 years, they no longer provide the support for you. And companies know that they're always going to do that. So the moment you are out of support, they will try to upgrade. Now you hear another reason why your company do upgrade. You upgrade because you are out of support. And because when you stay out of support and you have an issue, nobody will attend to you. So you need to upgrade. So you will always be upgrading at work. You're always going to be doing that. These are repetitive tasks. And when you do it once, guys, someone that has been in this field for the last 10 years or the last 20 years, and you joining the field 2 years ago, it will come to a point where you guys know you're doing the same thing. Huh? It's only the name that changes. So when you're applying for this job and you see senior database administrator, micro database administrator, this and that, all right? It's just a name. Don't let those names scare you, all right? And if you have the heart and the courage, go for the name because the name comes with money, right? The name comes with money. But some of you will scare, oh no, I'm just going to this field. I want to start with junior, take it slow. Yeah, feel comfortable. If you want to start with slow, junior also comes with little money. Big job title comes with big money, all right? So weigh yourself and know where you belong. If you are strong, apply for the big job. And I know that after 6 months with me, you guys will definitely be able to apply for those big titles, right? Feel free to do that. Now, this slides here is talking about, okay, so this slides here even went a little bit. This is another study that was done, and you can see that it went a little bit to 2000, and some companies are actually using that, right? Hold on here. This was SQL Server. Oh, okay, I see that here. All right, so this is in production environment. This is what is going on in production. This was a non-production environment. Okay, all right. I hope you guys remember that in every corporate world, you have different environments. Who can name me some of the environment you have in a corporate world? I talked about it last time. Who can name some of the environments that you have? You have a production environment. That is where the action happens, right? It's where the live data is going in and out. It's called production. Then you have the testing environment. That's where developers test their codes. Right? After they have developed it. Now you have the developer environment or development environment. That's where the development actually takes place. Some companies will go an extra mile of having what is called quality control, UAT, or they call it UAT or staging environment. Those are the different environments. So how does this happen? Now let me get a whiteboard and show you guys how this works. Let's get one document. So I get this snipping tool. Where is it? Where you? I don't know. Zoom. This some upgrade today that's really getting on my nerves. Okay, now let's get this. I don't like the whiteboard because that whiteboard gives me issues all the time. So now, how does this work? So we have one. This is how that's how the process works in the corporate world. You will have these different environments. And to keep talking about environment, you need to understand what this really means. And then you have finally here. Okay, so this is the production. I'll abbreviate it as prod, right? This is the final live. When say something is going live, it's going live in the production. Now, some companies, not all of them, will have an extra environment here before production. It's called staging, which is pre-production. There are several names for this. You can call this UAT, which stands for users. Oh my God. So UAT stands for again. User application testing. Yeah. US application testing, UAT. Or you can call this quality control. This is to write with it. Quality control, right? Quality control environment. You can call this staging, STG. Most companies will abbreviate it as STG. Stands for staging. You stage something, staging environment. So this is an environment. When we talk about environment, what do we mean by that? All right, let me come back to this. And after that, you have here a testing environment, and you have a development environment, dev. So these are the different environments. Some companies will bypass this, and they will leave from testing straight away to production. All right, but not all will do that. Well, what do I mean by environment? Well, let's say you have 1 to 100 servers in your company. Well, the company could decide that for the first 1 to 10 servers will be reserved for development, and the first 20 to 30 servers will be reserved for tests. 40 to about 60 will be reserved for staging, and 60 to 100 will be production. Microsoft only charges you licenses that are sitting in a production. When you buy those licenses, the only one that Microsoft will charge you will be the ones that sit in production. What am I saying here? So you have servers, real servers that have been dedicated for the environment. which means that if you come up with a brilliant idea, you say, this is a nice idea. I think that if we implement this idea, we are going to make $10 million. All right. Are you just going to rush in here and start testing your ideas here? No, you cannot, because this is where the company is making money. This is production. This 60 to 100 servers, that's where they make their money. That is where Bank of America, when you go online and you click log on and you log in and you see your account, that's where users, their clients are logging onto. So anything that happens to this, the company will lose money, or they lose their reputation, their image out there, because that's where clients are able to interact directly with the company. So we call that a production environment. So, so this brilliant idea that would give us $110 million, we are going to start it here and develop a code. Let's say, okay, we want to test 1 plus 1. Someone has told me that 1 plus 1 is equal to 10 million. I'm trying to figure out if this is possible. So I start writing the code, trying to test it out. So I'm going to develop that idea here in this, which means that you are going to talk to the DBA and say, hey, I need a server, I need access to a server where I can test things. So because the DBA already understands that we have the first 10 servers are used for testing, you cannot go ahead and grant that person access to any server that will fall within this range. You are going to grant that person, oh, how's this? Shit, stop. How do I stop this? Control Z. Oh, okay, cool. Yes, so you are going to go ahead and grant that individual access to one of these servers, and that he will come in now and start testing. When he's done developing, now it's time to test whether the idea can be implemented. Now you're going to say, okay, now I'm done, I need to test. So the DBA will come in again and go to this server and grant that individual access. So you know that between this range, we can grant access. We'll give access to that individual. He start testing his things, testing. When you've tested over and over and it really validates what you're doing, now depending on what company, that can go directly to production. When something leaves from the testing phase directly to production, we call this deployment. Deployment. This is D word, guys. Deployment. Right? This is deployment. You are deploying it directly to production. And this normally is never done during business hours. Most of the time, deployments will happen after hours, which means you will get to schedule a meeting. You meet at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. with your team, and you guys will do the deployment. When you have a deployment, we normally call this a go live session. Something is going live, which means that people out of the company can now suddenly see what is happening. And you guys see this all the time. Most of the apps that you use, once in a while, you see it changing, right? There's updates, it's changing. WhatsApp has been changing for a while since it started. When WhatsApp started, we did not have call. We could not make audio calls. We could not make video calls. We could not make group calls. We could not create groups and all this. But in the course of the years, developers have been developing the ideas, testing the ideas, and proving that it works, and then rolling it out to production. When they roll out, it's called deployment or go live. So, but some companies do implement this extra step, which says even though you've tested it, we want it to go through a quality control phase before it goes to production. Now they implement another one. And for that reason, if that has to be the case, we need to grant that individual access to one of the servers in this range for them to prove that the idea is really working before it moves to production. So in this class, when we're doing the installation, you're going to install 3 instances: dev, tests, UAT, and production. So we can mimic what happens in the corporate world while you are doing all these practical works here. All right, so I wanted to make sure you understand this, a different environment. All right, So what time is it? All right, let's take a, let me just have a couple of minutes. Let me just wrap up this so before we go and break. All right, okay, I was done with it. All right, let's take a break. Let's take a break. When we come back from break, we're going to continue from there. Any question before we leave? Yes, Jennifer, yeah, go ahead.
Sir, please, I really do not get, I do not get the difference between SQL Server and Windows Server.
Okay. So Windows Server is an operating system. Whenever you hear operating system, and it mostly denoted as OS is operating system. And a SQL Server is a software that sits on that operating system. In a SQL Server needs the Windows Server to function, but Windows Server does not need SQL Server to function. So there is one way dependency in this whole thing. SQL Server needs the operating system to function, but the operating system does not need SQL Server to function. Right now, all of you already have an operating system working on your computer. Some of you have Windows Server, Windows 10 Home. Some of you have Windows 10 Pro. That's our operating system, Windows Server. But you don't have any SQL Server installed on it. And for SQL Server to be installed, that operating system must meet a specification for you to install it. So that's the difference between those two.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any question?
My question is just going back to my question I said I was going to ask during break. The FKs, the PKs, and the DTs.
Records. I'll start recording now. Thanks. If you want to use like that, Solange, you need to make sure you capitalize every first word. Class should be capital, M should be capital.
Doctor.
All right? Okay. So that's how you need to do it. So when you download all those things from the internet, hold on. When you download all those things from the internet, I want you to have them in there, right? If you have any video that is sent to you guys that need to be downloaded, put them in there and start learning to use to save documents in folders. Right now, you can create another folders for your pictures, create another folder for your videos, create folders when you're doing things. That's how you organize your work. And even in the work environment, you save things on folders. Yes, Abiru.
Oh, sorry, I'm there already. What's the name of the folder, please?
Class materials.
Thank you.
Yes, okay.
Understand?
It's either way, it's fine. Just don't give space.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So when you're done, Solange, just click somewhere else and then you're done. Just click outside. Yeah, that's how you create the folder.
Thank you, Doc.
All right. Yes.
Doctor,
yes.
Doctor, when I divide my data, I name it in three. I have three places I divide it. There's sequence backup and sequence log and sequence temp. So I'm using the backup. What do you think?
No, just on that data.
On the data?
Data, yeah, data.
I named all the when I divide the hardware.
Mm-hmm.
So I have one, the sequence backup, I have one sequence log, and I have one sequence temp.
Go to SQL data.
Okay, I don't have a data because I changed it to backup, log, and temp.
Okay, then do it on backup.
Okay, I did it in backup. I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. So that's it. So those are the materials that you will.
Doc?
Yes.
I was able to name it. Please, can I share my screen?
Were you able to do it or not?
I ended. Let me just share my screen and see where I ended.
Okay. I'm going to allow you to share your screen, but eventually I want anybody that wants to share this.
Oh, okay. Okay, just give me the directions. Let me do it. I'm on PC on that data, and I labeled it as E. So I'm seeing name, and I ticked inside name. So what was the next thing to do?
Okay, go ahead and share your screen then. The reason why I insist to...
This is my screen. I see it.
Yes, I've seen it. The reason why I'm insisting that you should explain is because I want to encourage you to talk, right?
Okay.
Try to explain what your problem is. Okay, you don't have to check on name. You have to just, inside this empty space, anywhere in there. Don't click on anything. Just go there. Just right click there.
Okay.
And then go to new folder.
Yeah, okay, folder. Oh, gracias. Classify.
All right, yeah, that's good. Cool.
Thank you.
I said no space.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, the short
Either you
form
put
of
an underscore.
folder is on the taskbar, right?
Say it again.
A short way to see the folder is on the taskbar inside the. I say there's another short form of seeing that folder without going to this PC.
Yeah, you can click on that file explorer and it takes you directly there. Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right. So, all right. So I want, this is what you need. Make sure before you come to class, your homework.
Excuse me, Doc.
Yes, please.
Please, I wish to ask, the way, I don't know, the way I did my, if it's correct, on my screen, that is on my desktop, I just right click on an empty space. I took new and created a folder without necessarily going to the PC. I created the folder and save it on my desktop. I don't know if it's okay.
No, it's not okay because I don't want you to save on your desktop.
I should save it.
Yeah, when you save it on the desktop, you are saving it on your C drive. And I said in this class, C drive is not good. You don't save things on C drive because if something happens, you're going to delete it. So you need to open that folder, open the drive, the data drive, and save it and create that folder in there.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
That folder
okay.
that you just created on the desktop. Delete it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. So that so these are the material that you need to download. Please go ahead and download it before the class. So our homework is make sure you have all this downloaded. Do not install, because I have students here who like to try all things. It always happens. Please just download it and keep it, right? Don't try to install, because we have your entire class. Your success in this class will depend on how you've configured SQL Server. And I want to be the one to guide you how to install it. So don't rush to install. Just download it, keep it, and class will do the.
Do you mean don't run it? Don't run.
Yes, don't run it. Yeah, just download.
But, you know, after downloading, most times they will ask you run.
Yes, yes. Don't
just let it be.
Yes, leave it like that.
Okay. Then
where we're gonna get this?
Then what do we do after downloading and it says you run? What do we do then?
Don't run it. Leave it.
Okay.
Just download it and keep it like that.
And save it and save it at that's all right.
Okay. When you come here online to download, right? When I share the link and you open this file, right? I advise you to when I share the link, you will find yourself here, startup package. You can literally right click on it and then says download. It's just going to download the entire file for you. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, it would. If I do it, for example, look, see, it's preparing to download. It's one zip file preparing to download. I don't want to download it, so I'm canceling it. So just right click on it and download. That's all. Keep it, just download and leave it. Don't touch it again. So all I need to do is that when I share the link, right click, download, leave it. Right? Okay. Then we'll do it again together in class. Please. Fine.
Is there a way to just save it as in the folder?
Well, it will say save it as if you download it from the website. If you have to download it from the website, it will ask you to save it. But just download, right? Click on that link and download it.
So, Doc, if we download if we click on the first one, the start one, is it going to download all the other ones? or we need to go each by one?
No, you don't need to go into the file itself. You just need to download the entire folder.
Okay.
Don't open the folder because then you have to download one by one. But just download the entire folder.
Okay.
Are we clear on the homework, what we need to do, please?
Yes, Doc, I'm very, very clear, but I want to ask, just want to share my screen with you for just a minute, just to point out something.
Okay, go ahead.
Share screen. Can you see my screen?
You are not sharing.
Oh my God. What's going on?
Click. What is the homework?
Share. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. The file has been created here on the D drive.
Okay.
But I noticed when I exit, you can't find the file. For you to see the file, you must go to the D drive to see the file.
Yeah, because it's created inside.
I thought I was going to be able to see the file, maybe hanging somewhere here.
No.
Around
It's
here.
inside the file.
It's after a while, depending on how often you click the file, it will start showing up over there on the line. Showing
Over
up
here.
Not up there, on the left.
Yeah.
Yes.
This way.
Showing
Okay.
up, but not now.
Okay. Okay.
Doctor, quick question.
Thank you.
Yes,
quick question. I want to confirm, if we download the file you're sending to us, is it going straight to the data or to the C drive?
Oh, okay. Whenever you download something, can I just do this? Let me get someone's email that has already registered and send that to download so we can see this. It looks like I don't want you to come here in class next week and then have nobody should come here without downloading it because you will not be able to follow. All right, let me share my screen and get someone that was already registered to.
Is it on Thursday or you want us next week?
Okay. All right. So,
Doctor, you want it download next week?
I want to download it tomorrow. When I send it today, I want it before you come to class on Thursday. Make sure you have it downloaded.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So let me send it to.
What to do, correct?
Say again.
You say you want us to download it right now, and on Thursday you will work on
I
it.
just want to send to one student in this class to show you guys how to do it. All right, Lucien, let me send it to you. I'm going to send it to your email right now, and then you're going to share your screen so everybody sees how to do the download. So when I come here, and you cannot get it on an email the only email you get this is the one that you share with. So if you try to open it with an email that we don't know it will not let you, right? So you need to use the email that you use for your registration. I hope that is clear. You can only access this document with the email that you use for your registration. Forward it to your other email, you will not be able to because I will need to authorize you to download it. All right.
Doc, you still need to confirm my registration.
Okay, so I'm going to share this with you and go to your email and check that, please.
Okay.
And share your screen so they can see what you're doing. Before I send this one out, guys, I'm going to send out the links of everyone that's registered. If your name is not on the list, please make sure you reach out to me. Please go ahead and share your screen so we can see what you're doing.
All right. Let me share my screen.
Okay, so this, hold on there. When you email, that's how it's going to come to you, right? All of you seen that. You come like that, and you want to see the way it shows up. Okay, can you go one step backwards? Click on share with me. Click on share with me on that list. I want to have but the folder. Click on my, yeah, click on my drive.
My drive, okay.
Okay, it doesn't show you like that. Okay, now go back one step. Go back to that email and click again on the email. Cancel that, go back to the email. This works quite well with those who have Gmail, right? This Yahoo, I don't know how it's going to look at, but click on it. So if it happens like that, you might have to download one by one. Click on that. So you click on it. So it opens like that because I've given you access to do it. And you can see the documents that you need to download. Why is it taking this long?
This is it right here.
All right, so now right click, don't right click on the second one, the Microsoft step-by-step process. Right
this
click.
one?
Yes, right click. Right click. And then select, can you see download somewhere?
Wait, let me.
Close that, no thanks.
No, I don't see download.
Let me get.
Why is it opening this way anyways?
Control over your screen. Give me access to your screen.
How do I do that?
I'm requesting access. Okay, so let me close this first of all. What I'm saying is that you should click here, share with me.
Okay.
You click share with me, you can see the whole package is here.
Okay.
So you can right click on the.
That's okay, can you go back forward, please?
Right click on the, hold on first, right click on the package. Sorry.
Right there, download, okay.
When you download this is going to go to your download folder. When it's done downloading, it's going to take some time to download because it's big, right?
Okay, okay.
Your download folder, and your download folder is here, guys. I'll go download. It's going to come here. Where it will come to. See? And then next class, we're going to move that from the download folder to this folder that I created. Where is it?
My E, my data E. There you go.
Put it here, right? So this is how we're going to do that. All right, so the way she did, let me repeat it one more time, is that when she received the email, where is the email?
Over here, the blue envelope.
Okay.
The text bar.
Oh, okay, here. All right.
Yeah.
So the email comes like that. You click on the email and you click open, right? You click open. If you have a Gmail, it will automatically take you to your Gmail OneDrive. But if you don't have a Gmail, you just have a link to download. Download one by one. But if it takes you to your OneDrive and it finds it here, if now you're already inside the folder with everything that I've shared with you. So it's kind of difficult to download all of them at once. To download all at once, go back here and click share with me. And it is going to show you here. Just right click on it and then click download. Please guys, I know some of you are going to start texting me, how do you do it? Watch the video if you don't know how to do it, because the steps are very simple, right? If you get confused, you don't know how to do it, come back and watch this part of the video and you'll know how to do it. Make sure you get this done before the next class. All right, let me give up. So have you seen the way I'm able to navigate her screen, right? When you have an issue in this class, you can give me control, I can take over control and do it where everybody is seeing it. That's the beauty with an online class, live class, because we can take over, do it just like we're sitting in the same classroom. All right. And I asked you guys last time to practice how to share your screen. Yeah? Take time, log on to Zoom and click share screen, cancel, share, cancel, do it like 10 times. And then you know how to share your screen. Please, homework number 2. Homework number 1, download the documents. Homework number 2, learn to share your screen 10 times. All right? You should do that. I don't want anybody to share their screen in this class and struggling to figure out where to share screen. You should learn to share your screen because you're doing it so many times in this class. Please do that. That's your homework. Okay. All right. Let's move on.
Doc, just a quick question.
How did you? Oh, okay.
Hold on, one person at a time. Yeah, sure.
Now, I just wanted to find out, how do you get access to somebody's screen? How do you do it?
I have to request, and you need to authorize me to do that. When I send a request, it will pop up in your screen. Allow me to control your screen, and you accept it, and then I can take over control.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Adele.
Doc, the class material, where do we have to put it on the download or on the?
You have to put it on that folder that you create, the core class material. If you know how to do it, fine. Otherwise, we'll do it in class, right? When you download it and it goes to your download folder, you can move it to that folder, class material.
Please, can I share my screen because I don't have it?
You don't have it because I haven't sent it to you. You have to wait send it to you before you do it.
The class material, I've downloaded it, but I put it on the desktop. And so it's not on the drive that you're talking about.
No.
Okay, so you created it on the wrong folder, on the wrong drive. All right, let me do it one last time. If you are here and you haven't done it right, watch, because we're doing it one last time now. Go ahead and share your screen. Where did you create that folder? Class material, not on your desktop. Click and delete that. Please, I will not encourage you to save things on your desktop, even for your own personal use. Learn to create things on folders, not on the desktop. Whatever you save on your desktop, if your laptop ever gets affected, everything will be deleted on that desktop. Folder. And Valentine, you had a lot of things saved on your desktop. It's time for you to start moving them away from that desktop. Put them somewhere else. Right? So you need to open that drive, HP Tools. I don't know why you named it as HP Tools. Hold on here. Why did you do that kind of partition? Is it a new laptop?
Yes. This HP tools came like that.
Okay, so it means you did not partition your drive when we did the last class.
You were saying that this drive has to be above 500 before they have to partition it.
No, I said if you have 463 means it's 500. It would never be 500 exactly. I said if you have roughly that amount, you need to create only one partition. That's what I said. I think you missed that. Because right now you don't have any partition, right?
So can I partition?
Now let's quickly do the partition together here. Is there anyone here in class that can teach, volunteer to show how to do that?
Yep.
Okay. What is she supposed to do?
I go to. I'm ready.
This one?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's teaching how to do that?
No, that's not what okay.
Okay.
This is
Can I go ahead?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Valentine. Go ahead. And what's he supposed to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to first of all go down to your. You type in my computer.
No, she's already here.
Go ahead on disk management.
Oh, okay. You go to your D drive. Let's see. What do you? The biggest gigabyte you have is on your C drive. So you might need to partition on the C drive. So on your C drive, you right click.
Shrink volume.
That's right.
You click on shrink, right? Okay. On the enter the amount of space to shrink in MB.
You have to do multiplication for that. I think that would be.
Yeah, you see, I think you have 400 gigabyte there.
1024 times 200.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Joe.
1024 times 200.
Adele, are you putting a value?
Yeah, I'm putting it times 1024 times 200. It's
204800. $800. Right, click on that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
New sample.
Next.
Next.
Next. Next.
You could name it.
Data. Data D. D. Oh.
You missed something.
Data
Go back
D.
again. Go back again. Go back. Go back.
No.
No, go back.
No, why? Why going back?
Why should she have to go back?
Because she has not entered the, she already entered the value on one of the.
No, that's fine. She's doing right.
She's fine. Click next.
Okay.
Finish.
Answer that.
Close it.
Can I close this one?
Yes, close that.
Yeah.
Yes. Go to the next one.
Hold on here.
This one is a logical drive.
It created as a logical drive. I saw this thing coming up a lot in this class. Right? Can you right click again on that drive?
The new one, this one.
Right click and delete that. Delete that volume.
Delete. Go to C and extend.
What does it mean, logical drive, Doc?
It doesn't really physically have that drive, that amount available, but it creates a logical drive.
Oh.
So delete that.
Go back and extend.
Extend that volume back. Click on C drive and extend.
Extend. You have not deleted it.
Right click again on that C drive. Right click again. Delete partition.
Delete partition.
I think the 200 might be too big. So extend that C drive again.
Yeah.
Extend. So extend, when you partition and you want to reclaim the space, you just extend, it takes it back.
Okay.
Next, you take it back. Finish. See, it's back, right? This is where we were. When you create a partition and you feel like it was done wrongly, you want to get it back, just delete it and then extend it back. Okay, now let's create the partition. We're going to make it 150, please. Let's just make it 100. No, right click on the C drive. Just go, no, it already.
C drive.
Shrink it, make it 100.
Type 100.
100 is simply 104. No, 102400. Yes. Data. I have to understand why it keeps creating a logical drive. Cancel that, close this. Okay, now go click, open your file, open your file explorer, a yellow envelope.
Yellow envelope.
Yeah, that. Okay. All right. Even though it's created a logical drive, it's still there, right? It's there. It's just that the size is too small that Microsoft just creates a logical drive and trying to, even if it's not enough, it tries to expand it a little bit. Okay. Open that data drive. Double click on it. Double click on open. When you just double click, it opens. Just double click. Okay. Right click here and create a folder. Inside this space, inside that white space, right click, new folder, class material. That's what you're supposed to do. All right, please. And going forward, whatever you need to save inside this computer, whether it's classwork A personal work stuff, don't save them on your desktop. Practice good habits. Save them on drives and not on a C drive. You only have one partition. Save them on this, right? So close. No, that's all.
Thank you, Doc.
All right. Can we move on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
We already know what we need to do. 2 homework, download, learn to share a screen 10 times, right? Perfect. All right. We're going to quickly look through a couple of things here. I am going to teach you guys the installation process without doing the installation, what you need to pay attention to when you are installing SQL Server, so that when we're on the class on Thursday, we're not going to go through all this again. I already talked about the different versions and editions, and you can see here, for every version that is released, there are different editions available. Right, that answers one of your questions. For every version that is released, there are different editions available for it. Okay. And so on the installation of SQL Server, there are a couple of checks that you will normally do. I'm not going to go deep into this because you are too new in this class to understand all this. But these are checks that you will normally do. But the first thing you want to check installing SQL Server is that what type of installation am I going to use, right? Do you have, am I doing a standalone installation or cluster-based installation? I don't want to talk more about this. We'll come back to this very late into the program. What that installation stands for. Requirements, which version, right? You see, which version and which edition we installing. Whenever you are installing, you need to determine which version am I going to install and what edition am I going to install. Do I need to add any service packs or hot fixes? Well, service packs are, like I said, patches. Those are the different upgrades that Microsoft releases. We're going to talk more about this when we start talking about projects. There's so many things here in this class at the beginning that I don't really need to go so much into it because it makes no sense. You will still not understand. Right? But eventually you will get to that when we start talking about it. So a service account for database engine, SSRS, ISRS, if any. Okay, I need to talk about this. This is a best practice. So if you know that there's something playing in your background, just mute yourself. Whether it's TV, radio playing, just mute because we can hear it. Thanks. All right, service accounts. The service account just is every installation of SQL Server needs a service account. And that's the best practice. Do not install SQL Server without using a service account. What do I mean by a service account? A service account is an account that is created purposely for installation. That account has elevated privileges. It means it has enough permission to run the installation for you. So in every corporate environment, there is that account that gets created for SQL Server installation. Let me show you a typical example because I already have Windows Pro. I can show you different accounts. So if I go under my computer, as I click here and I go to computer management, you might not be able to have it right now because you don't have Windows Pro. Okay, so if I open that computer management here, you have what is called local users and groups. So if I expand this and you see users, you can see I can create multiple users. Let's say I live in this house with 10 people and I don't want them, when they log on, they're able to see my pictures, see my work, I can decide that, okay, since we only have one laptop for everybody, I am going to create an account for every single individual that logs onto the laptop. So when Valentine comes, he logs on with his name. When Claudia comes, she logs on with her name. So, and just like that, right? So we can create those accounts for you, for individuals to log onto the laptop. And when you create those accounts, you can select out of those accounts that you've created. I'm going to create one account called Chooks that has enough permission more than any other person in this class. And we're going to use that account whenever we're running an installation, we're going to use that account. That account is called a service account. So there's always going to be one account that gets created, and that account is used for installation of SQL Server. For this class, in the beginning, we are not going to worry about that. But when towards the end of the class, when we've built your real environment that looks like a corporate world environment, I will show you guys how to create those accounts. But here, I could decide that, okay, I have this account, and I can say, okay, I'm going to create an account called student. And when I'm doing SQL Server installation, I am going to use this account student. Right? One thing I want you to know in this class, if you are logging onto your laptop using that PIN, because most of you would like to log on using the PIN, know the password of that computer. The PIN is not your password. So we clear on that. If you log onto your computer, if you bought a computer and the Microsoft gave you an option to, whenever you start your computer, you can log on using the PIN. Please look for the password of that computer, because soon you will need that password. Okay? All right, so that's what a service account is all about. So if I really wanted to do it right now, I could just right click and say new. I'm going to create an account.
Excuse me, Doc, how do you find a password?
Well, I can't tell you how to find the password. That's your computer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When you installed it, during the installation, you gave a password to it. And
I didn't really ask me for PIN, and I just created a PIN for it. I can't remember.
There's always a PIN and there's password. Right?
Well.
The password, if you log on, if your Microsoft account, the password is the same password for that account.
The email also.
Email account. The email, the password is the same password for the email.
For the email, okay. All right.
You have at outlook.com, at hotmail.com, that password that you log on to the account to read your emails is the same password.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right. All right. Let's say I decide I'm going to create an account here called Chilled. I can decide to create that account, say create. For example, I give a password, let's say password 1. Password 1. And I said users must change password and let's log in. No, I don't want to change password. And the password should never expire. I'll say create. Right? Now I have an account in my environment called Chilled. We can decide that this account is a service account. So whenever you need to do an installation, you should use that account called service account. Right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it because I don't need it. Okay. So that's what service accounts are used for. Okay, when we are installing, we're going to talk about name instance and default instances. How many name instances can we have on a server? For those who can still remember.
49 to 50, sir.
50. 50. 50. Default.
1.
Default. 1 default. 49 name instances.
1 default, 50.
What's the question? Sorry.
Okay. How many name instances can you have, and how many default can you have? Okay. What is the
maximum
default instance?
1433.
Yes, 1433. Yes.
Doc, I think you are taking us to the other class. Because we
to the bigger class.
No,
yeah,
no,
no.
He's in our class.
He's in our class.
We are getting
this is our class.
2 classes, huh?
This is our class.
We talked about this here. All right.
This is our class.
Okay. So we are going to talk about location. See, location for binary, system, and user databases. That is why we started by partitioning our drives in this class. We partition the drives because when we're doing SQL Server installation, we need to point the data, the log, the backup to different drives, different locations. That's why we did that partition. If you need to ask me why did we partition it, that's why we did that. Okay, and then we'll talk about authentication modes. There are different levels of authentication in SQL Server. And there are 2 types of authentication. That's an interview question. How many types of authentication do you have in SQL? There are 2. SQL Server authentication and Windows authentication. Those 2 authentication. What do I mean by authentication? Whenever you need to log onto a server, how do you authenticate yourself? How do you prove that you are the one? You have 2 ways to do it. It's either you authenticate using a Windows authentication or a SQL Server authentication. And I'm going to tell you guys the difference between those different authentications. A Windows authentication is if you are part of the company. Remember when I talked about Active Directory, domain services? If you are part of the company, your name gets created in the Active Directory. And for that reason, you can use a Windows authentication. If you are not part of the company, your name cannot be created in the Active Directory. The only way you can authenticate is SQL Server authentication. Those are the two ways. And we have what is called here collation settings. Collation. In SQL Server, collation simply means that I am not case sensitive, right? If you write something here in SQL, uppercase, lowercase, it doesn't matter. It doesn't care about that. What takes care of that is collation settings. It takes care of case sensitivity. It's not case sensitive. And it also takes care of national characters. For example, SQL Server exists in so many different languages. You can install SQL Server in Chinese, Japanese, Arab, all these different languages, German, French, English, Latin, all that. What takes care of those languages is collation settings. You're going to see that. And the features are what we're going to install, what we really want the server to have, falls under features. If you were doing any installation lower than 2005, which we are not doing, you have to install these files. If 2008 and R2, you need to get this. We don't have any of this, so it doesn't really matter for us. Right? Okay, so the steps. Download the evaluation edition. You see, people still talk about most training that you go, you get an evaluation edition, which is valid only for 180 days. Here, you get enterprise edition. It's valid for life, right? It will never expire. Your evaluation edition will expire after 180 days. Okay, so we're going to, you download it and you run it. So this is the way to stop it. So the way to install SQL Server is, once you download that file, you will double click on the file and then this opens. This is called SQL Server Installation Center. So you have all these different things that exist, but here you have a menu. And this is one thing you need to know in SQL. Everything is wizard. Right? Everything goes through a wizard. And I told you guys what a wizard stands for. What is a wizard?
Just a command box.
A wizard is just a command. It just helps you, guide you throughout the installation. Because I tell you in this class, click here, click there, go down, click, click. You might get confused, need some step. But a wizard has already the steps for you. And all you need to do is click next, 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 next. Everything is comprised in a wizard. Right, so a wizard opens like this, installation center, and we need to go here and click on installation here. When you Barbara, please be muting those people for me, please.
I am, doctor.
So you check these different installations. You have, under installation, you have new standalone installation, a cluster installation, add a node, upgrade. Now, let's talk about these different types of installation. What does that mean? If you are doing a brand new installation, which is what all of you are going to do in this class, you're doing a brand new installation. Or if you are in the corporate world and they give you a server to install, you are going to see this. Right? You guys, the documents are sent to you, sure, you have this already in that. So you don't need to bother about taking pictures, okay? You have this on that. You can use, one of this document is there, you can use it. Okay, so you have SQL Server standalone installation, which means you are doing a brand new installation. So you click on that to install. Now, you have this other option, SQL Server failover cluster installation. This is a topic way down the line. Please don't ask me what this means right now. It will not help you. You will not understand it. So just hold on with that topic. Add a note, the same. These two, they are very well down the line. You get to understand it later. But now, what I want you to understand are these two. Upgrade from SQL Server 2005, 8 or 8R2. This means if you are installing a SQL Server 2019, like you guys will be doing, and you had previously installed a 2017 or any version older than 2019, you can upgrade the old one to the new. And when you do that, we call it an in-place upgrade. You're doing an upgrade in place, right? So you can do that. But for this class, we are only going to do a new SQL Server standalone installation. When you click on that, you get this set of rules that open. It runs the check to make sure that everything passes the test before you can do it. And then it tells you all the things that will be installed. It checks this, right? It checks, these are just files that on the system that SQL Server requires these files to run the installation. You can see here, Windows Firewall is always a warning because firewall block. SQL Server is a new application coming in and firewall might block it. So that's why it's a warning. It needs to pass all this. If any one of these fails, you need to make sure you pass it. It will tell you what you need to do before you install. You cannot install SQL Server if any of these files don't pass the test. We are okay with warning signs, but we are not okay with the failed test. All right. Next is the key, the product key. This is where Microsoft charges you for installing SQL Server. The key that you get here, see, even these people, they hide their own key because if they show it here, you can literally copy the key and do the installation without paying for it, right? So this key is vital. Please do not share my key with students out there, right? I give you because you're part of this class and you've registered and it's a gentleman agreement that you're going to pay. Some of you have not yet paid, but I'm going ahead to give it to you because I know you're going to pay for it. But
thank you,
don't take that for granted and share this out. This is too expensive. All right.
Sure.
You all know that it's expensive to have this key. So I don't want you. And I know I have an account that I check every server. I know how many computers get installed. So if you share it, I will know. Right. So don't let me come to and tell you that you have shared it. I will know you did it. I know how to track it because Microsoft manages an account and it tells me how many students have installed this.
That's not.
Don't give the key, please. All right.
Okay.
All right. So here we have to check the license term. It will tell you what type of edition you are installing. You have Enterprise Edition, so it should show up here, 2019 Enterprise Edition. So we're going to accept the terms and then we'll click Next. You see, wizard everything, next, next, next. Now, features. Here we have these three different versions, features here. Features, new SQL Server feature installation. And it tells you install SQL Server database engine, analysis services, reporting services, integration services, and other features. Because we're doing a brand new installation, we're going to click this. If you are doing a SQL Server PowerPoint for SharePoint, this application that you might get in the corporate world, you have to click on this. Or you just want to install a feature. If SQL is already running, and during the installation you missed something, you can come here and only add what you missed before, and then you click Next. Then you find yourself here, you need to select which feature to install. I will tell you which feature you need to install. And you click Next. Here, this is where you have to name the instance name. I told you, you have default, name instances. Those are two different types of instances that exist. Default, you can only have one. Name, you can have up to 50, including the default, right? Which means theoretically, you have 49, right? Okay. So when you click on default, you cannot change the name. It will give you a default name that you cannot change. You cannot change the port number. After the installation, you're going to repeat the same thing again, but click on name and put the name here. And I said, we need to have prod, staging, test, and dev. Those are the instant names that we're going to use for the installation, which reflect the different environments that we have. And it gives you a summary. Okay, so here, this is where the service account comes into play. But for this first installation, I am not going to use any service account because I know that you're going to do it right. No, I need the service account because I know where the problem is going to come in from. So at this moment, please figure out the password of the other computer, because here you need the account and the password. You see where I told you here? This is why at the beginning of this class, we started by changing the computer name. Because if you have a very long computer name, you will have to type it in here. So changing it to a very simple computer name, you need to put it in here and put the password. It's not the PIN though, the password. So you need to know the password. All right, so you have from now, so assignment number 3, know the password of your computer before Thursday class. All right?
Yeah.
Coming in. Know the password. First homework is download. Second homework, learn to share Zoom 10 times. Third homework, know the password of your computer. All right. So, and here, collation sequence, I just talked about collation sequence. You have the option to select which collation sequence you want. Based on, we're going to go with the default, and this is an interview question. What is the default collation sequence for SQL? This is Latin, is SQL _ Latin 1 _ general _ CP1 _ CI _ AS. You might not always remember this. Personally, I don't always remember this, but I always tell them it's something that starts with Latin. And I've always win it in an interview when they ask me this kind of question, you know. But this is the default for English language. If you were installing SQL Server in a different language, you have to get it here. But your dialect is not there though. It's only official languages, right? So you try to look for com in this one here, you will not see it because it's not there, right? But collation sequence will take care of some kind of national character that does not exist in the English alphabet. Like Chinese characters, they're not in English alphabet. This type of collation sequence that you select will take care of that. And because I know all of you are going to install it in English, you're going to go with the default collation sequence. SQL is an English language program by default. Any other thing is, you have to change it. But if you take default, it's going to go English language. Okay, so, and we'll click next. Here, remember I told you I got 2 modes of authentication in SQL Server. We have Windows authentication and SQL Server authentication. Guys, don't tell me mixed mode, because whenever I ask this question, what are the 2 modes of authentication in SQL Server? And I hear Windows authentication and mixed mode. No, mixed mode is not a method of authentication. Mixed mode simply means when you select mixed mode, it gives you the both methods of authentication. It gives you SQL Server authentication and Windows authentication. This is very important though. You need to know this stuff, because when you are installing SQL Server in a corporate world, you need to know that not everyone that will log on to SQL Server will be working for that company. So you need to enable mixed mode authentication for someone that is not part of the Active Directory to be able to log in. Okay, so when we do that, we are going to click on Add Current User to add yourself during the installation as a user on that database to be able to log onto the server. And we click Next. Here, this is where the data files are going to, right? Here in this class, we did, we created a folder for data, log, tempdb, and tempdb log. This is where you point them to do the installation. And for the first installation in this class, I am not going to configure this. I had it last time, there was a lot of issues, and I vow never to do it again. I'll leave it like that, but when we are down the line, when you guys are a little bit advanced and understanding these things, we'll come back to the installation and do it again the right way. So this is the only time that we are not going to respect Microsoft best practices. We're going to leave the default values. As you can see, when you leave it default, everything goes on the C drive, right? So, but we're going to come back to that later on, and we'll click Next. Here, it gives you a summary of everything that you've configured, and then you click Install. When you've done this successfully, you have successfully carried out your first project as a database administrator. Is it difficult?
Interesting.
No.
Not difficult. It's click, 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 click to the end.
We shall see.
Right? So that's what we're going to be doing on Thursday after you guys have downloaded the media.
Okay.
Don't come to class without downloading it though, because you will not be able, I will not wait for you. Right? You have from now till Thursday to download that. Okay. All right. So, okay. So with that said, now let's understand a couple of things. Now, a lot of theory. We have 10 more minutes and we'll wrap up with the class. When you install SQL Server on your machine, we talked about this different drive. You have, we're going to do what is called post-installation changes. We're going to configure the memory, the data, the log files, and the general architecture is what I just talked about. Now, on the general architecture, you hear of client, the word client a lot. Please pay attention to this. Client is where the request is initiated. For example, you take your app and you go online and you want to log onto your bank account. When you put your username and password and click submit or log in, you are authenticating yourself. And that request, you are a client trying to connect to a database. So client, whenever we talk about client connection, there are people trying to connect to a database. And you need to be able to understand how this connection takes place. And I showed you guys here a diagram of how clients connect to the database from the application, from the web, all the way down to the database, right? It's very important. Query, all right? We've heard about what query. SQL query, which is this is a data language, the language that we use for querying the table, pulling data from the table. Let me see here. Okay, shared memory here, right? Well, you're going to hear a lot of shared memory because we're doing multiple installation of instances. Those instances will share the memory of the server. You have only one server, and that server has a memory, like all of you. You have one server, which is your laptop, and that server has 16 gigabytes of memory. But when you install multiple instances on that, they are all going to share that 16 gig of memory. So that's shared memory. All right. Name pipes for connection, which are local area network connectivity. We'll start here about things like name pipe. Right? They're used for connection to the database. TCP IP addresses. When you hear of TCP IP, transfer, let me see this. There's one thing that you guys know in this class, that there's a lot of abbreviation. That's
control protocol.
Transfer control protocol.
Control protocol. Thank you. Right, that's TCP, and IP stands for Internet Protocol. Right. So this is where you find out the port numbers a SQL Server communicates with, and the connections the SQL Server makes from one server to another is through these ports. They are enabled by, so for you to allow connection, this must be enabled, otherwise nobody can connect to the database. Well, a server is where SQL Server got installation from. A relational engine. We are studying a relational database management system, RDMS. This is what we are studying. And there are so many RDMS that exist out there. I told you guys last time, Oracle, SQL, MySQL, all those are called relational database management system, right? So all that falls under that. I don't want to go into all this because it's much more complicated. SQL OS, SQL operating system, right? I said you have a Windows operating system and a SQL operating system. So this lies between the host machine, which is the Windows operating system, and SQL Server, right? So all the activities that the database takes, that are performed on the database, are done on the SQL operating system. When you create a database, you create tables, you process information. When SQL Server is doing that, it is using a SQL OS, and all that gets information from the operating system, right? So that's, okay. You hear of the word checkpoint processes. Yes, Claudia.
Please, I wish to take you a bit back on that TCP.
TCP.
Yeah.
Here.
And, I thought that it was a transfer
control protocol.
I guess it should be transmission control protocol.
Okay. All right. Transmission control protocol. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's a lot of abbreviation in SQL, though, guys. You went to really see that there's a lot of abbreviation. But the most important thing is that you can forget the abbreviation, but you should not forget what it does. Right? That's fine. Okay. All right. I was talking about checkpoints. Checkpoints, remember what I told you guys last time when I was explaining the function of a RAM, the storage, RAM, storage, and RAM and storage. Whenever information is running on your computer, it's temporarily stored on your RAM. That's why it's called a random access memory. But when you shut down your computer, SQL makes sure that the computer makes sure that that information is not lost. So for it to make sure that information is not lost, that's why when you shut down your computer, it doesn't just shut up immediately. It takes time, and that thing is spinning and it's shutting down gradually. What is happening at that moment is a checkpoint is issued, telling the computer everything that you've saved temporarily on the RAM, please, it's time for you to move them to the disk and save it permanently there. All right, so checkpoint is an internal process that writes all dirty pages, right? Anything that is sitting on a memory that has been modified in SQL is called dirty pages. It's a dirty page because it's not secured. So it writes all these dirty pages from the buffer to the physical disk, right? So it picks up everything and writes it to the disk. And then you have all these different checkpoints. Please go ahead and read all these different checkpoints when they are issued. You have automatic, checkpoint, indirect, manual, internal. This is just for you to have an understanding of how computers function, right? You also have what is called lazy write processes and all that. So I'm going to stop here, but on Thursday, we are going to go ahead and install. All this is going to come later on files, file groups, extents, pages, or what this stands for you to have an understanding. All right. So let me stop sharing and take a couple of